Reminds me, standing in a nice dress, staring at the sunset. Red lips and rosy cheeks. Say you'll see me again, even if it's just pretend. Remember me, stretched in the sunset.
Babe. Alright. I'm fed up. I'm fed up because this is the third Insta Live I've created now. And it keeps shutting off because apparently I can't play Taylor Swift while it streams. Because it's copyright music for some reason. That's kind of annoying. Just a little bit. But, it's okay. We're starting anyway. We're going to continue reading today. Alright. What fun. I know. A lot of people enjoy this content I'm doing. But we are reading How to Win Friends and Influence People, Part 5. In the Digital Age. How to Win Friends and Influence People in the Digital Age. We are going to jump right into it. So bear with me, folks, as I get shit. Dippin' hoppin'. Hop-a-loppin'. Crack-a-lackin'. Splickety splatting. Alright, we're just gonna jump right into it. No wasting time. We've wasted enough time with our lives. We're growing up. We're maturing. We're doing things that are important. We're learning. We're understanding. And then we're acting with wisdom in the right possible way. So we can leave the world in a better place. Hopefully on our path to ending all evil, practicing what we preach, being the change we want to see, all that fun jazz. There's actually a really good line. What is it? Let me find it real quick. It's I wrote it down recently, so I know where to find it. After I say this line, we'll jump right into it. So it is... Oh. Stare death in the face and say, not today. That's a interesting line. And we're back. Alright, we're here. We're reading a book. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People in the Digital Age. This is part 5. Part 1 through 4 are on my Instagram at Jacob Devon, Devann, all one word, or at Sifu_purple_wolf. That's SIFU_purple_wolf on YouTube. You can check part 1 through 4 out, and you can check all the other audiobooks I've been reading out on those platforms as well. And we are going to finish this book sooner or later. We got 70 pages left, and then we are going to jump right into another book. Let's see how many we can do. I'm aiming for 5 before the end of summer. So fingers crossed. Let's see if we can exceed that goal. Consequently, this is page 131. How to Win Friends and Influence People in the Digital Age by Dale Carnegie. Here we go. Consequently, we will now offer a full refund for any paper you receive that has been rendered unreadable because of the weather. Really? Great. We also wanted to make you aware that, like you, our business has been affected by rising gas prices. Consequently, we will no longer be able to offer to deliver replacement papers. Just call us and you will receive a refund instead. Oh, okay. At the very least, customers might have viewed the actions of the company in a much more favorable light. Today, there are 2 kinds of agreement. We need to keep both in mind where our interactions are concerned. The first kind of agreement is the common variety. It is the sort that surrounds 2 parties holding the same opinion on a particular issue. The presumption with this kind of agreement is that they were engaged at one time in a dialogue in which they uncovered their harmony of opinion. For most of us, this sort of dialogue-based agreement is the only kind of agreement we consider. But there is another kind of agreement that was far less feasible during Carnegie's time, but has become all the more important today. The second kind of agreement is based off two parties liking the same thing, or as we might view it, being similar people. We don't typically call this sort of harmony an agreement, but in the digital age, it is best to think of it as such because we are always drawn to those with whom we have something in common. Establishing this commonality or affinity at the outest is a new form of yes. The more early yeses you possess, the more likely you are to succeed in capturing a yes to your idea, solution, or transaction. Access affinity as early and often as possible. A. Surrendering the credit. A Dale Carnegie training student in Australia relayed the following story, which serves as a good lesson for what can happen when we ignore this principle. My business partner and I operated one of the largest IT retainers in Brisbane. We had 8 stores, employed more than 60 staff members, and had a turnover of more than 10 million per year. Holy shit. 10 million per year? I gotta write something down, bear with me. Get them to say yes early and often. Alright, I can do that. Seems fair enough. Okay. Oh shit. Sorry if I'm lagging on my stream a little bit. Bear with me. Okay, here we go. My business partner and I operated one of the largest IT retailers in Brisbane. Something happened where we turned over more than 10 million per year. Although my business partner had helped me a lot and he was a reasonably easygoing person, I believe all the success was contributed by me. There was only one way to run the company, and it was my way. When there was a likelihood of an agreement, I made sure it became an argument, and I tried to win it, regardless of the cost. I never began our meetings in a friendly fashion, and often talked down to him. I never considered his feelings or even wondered why he wasn't more like me. In the end, I won all the arguments and had my way, but I lost the partnership and subsequently the company. After I learned this principle, I started looking back and now understanding how wrong I was. I often think, if I had known these things sooner, how different my business would be today. I know I can't change the past now, but I can see the mistakes I made and try not to repeat them. Today, this gentleman is a different person now. Now I always ask my partners about their goals before I set my own. He writes, then I ask myself, what can I do to help this relationship lead to their goals? While it's easy to see why we want credit for success for which we labored, claiming the credit will never win you friends. It will also diminish your influence quicker than just about any other action. What is the worst quality in a leader? Ask the followers and they will tell you. It is the quality of taking credit when things go well and dishing out blame when things go wrong. Few postures send a cleaner "it's all about me" Few postures send a clearer "it's all about me" message. Few messages send people scurrying in other directions faster. Let me reread that. Few postures send a clearer "it's all about me" message. Few messages send people scurrying in the other direction faster. Who wants a friend who thinks it's all about them? Who wants a leader who doesn't see your contributions? The answer to those questions are easy. Answering the opposite question is just as easy. Who wants a friend who doesn't care who gets the credit? Who wants a leader who sees the full value of your contribution? I'm sorry, guys. I gotta write these down. Wants a friend who wants a leader Who sees the full value of your contribution? The full value of your contribution. Makes sense, doesn't it? Who wants a friend who doesn't care who gets the credit? I want a friend who doesn't care who gets the credit. Who wants a friend who doesn't care who gets the credit? All right, continuing. Where were we? Okay, here we are. Page 133. Giving away credit is a magical multiplier, writes Forbes blogger August Turok, a former founding employee at MTV. It works equally well in business and in our personal lives, but harnessing this magic requires an attitude of gratitude. That was fire. That was pretty good. That was amazing. Oh, I love it. It just went off the tongue so smoothly. It was like an attitude of gratitude. Oh, it was so satisfying. I don't know why. It just is. I gotta reread that. I'm sorry, guys. Oh my god. Oh, the sentence is perfect. It works equally well in business and our personal lives, but harnessing this magic requires an attitude of gratitude. So giving away credit is a magical multiplier. Giving away credit is a magical multiplier. And no. And harnessing this magic takes an attitude of gratitude. Harnessing this magic, it makes sense, takes an attitude of gratitude. Because when you're truly grateful for the things people do, like you're truly grateful for the things people are doing, you're literally saying, thank you for this. You're giving them credit for doing what they're doing. So to truly harness this magic, it takes an attitude of gratitude. I fucking love that sentence. Oh, it hits so good. Oh, what a good sentence. All right, moving on. Without a sincere sense of gratitude, sharing credit is just another manipulative trick bound to backfire. None of this is rocket science, it's common sense. So why is credit stolen far more often than shared? The unusual suspect is fear. But fear, in this case, should be reserved for the possibility of becoming a person who is afraid to share the spoils of success. Turok shares a homily, H-O-M-I-L-Y. Turok shares a homily he once had heard that makes this point well. I gotta annotate that word real quick, bear with me. H-O-M-I-L-Y. Sorry, Instagram. Picking you right back up where we left off. Sorry about that, guys. Homily, the definition means a religious discourse that is intended primarily for spiritual education rather than doctrinal instruction. A sermon. A religious discourse that is intended primarily for spiritual edification rather than doctrinal instruction. A sermon. How do you pronounce that?
Homily.
Homily. Interesting. Okay. So, Turok shares a homily he once heard that makes this point well. The Sea of Galilee is teeming with fish and life. The priest began, the Dead Sea is dead and devoid of life. They are both fed by the sparkling water of the river Jordan. So what's the difference? The Sea of Galilee gives all of its water away. The Dead Sea keeps it all for itself. Like the Dead Sea, when we keep all that is fresh and good for ourselves, we turn our lives into a briny soup of salty tears. That was such a beautiful allegory, homily, a religious discourse that is intended primarily for spiritual edification. What the fuck does edification mean? I think it means something about education, instructing, edification. It means the instruction or improvement of a person's morals or intellectually. Okay, that makes sense. All right, back to it. It's perhaps, oh no. Structured, oh no. All right, surrendering the credit for a job or a project can't be a false humility, a covert approach to seeking the spotlight. This is a form of the martyr syndrome. Let me reread that. Surrendering the credit for a job or a project can't be a false humility, a covert approach to seeking the spotlight. This is a form of martyr syndrome. The principle suggested here is born not of attention-seeking activity, but rather of a supreme confidence that you are a far better person when those around you know they play an important role not only in a collaborative success, but also in your personal success. Watch any film or music awards show and you will see this dynamic in action, especially in the more magnanimous participants. What is the first gesture expected of the winner of an award? An acceptance speech. And what are acceptance speeches but a list of thank yous to those who were responsible for the winner's success? Some would argue this is merely standard show script, but those faces behind the names would have something else to say. As the cameras swing to show these faces, all are beaming, some even crying joyful tears, sharing in the success and reciprocating the gratitude. It is perhaps no coincidence that Greer Garson, the woman credited with the longest acceptance speech in Oscar history at 5.5 minutes, is also the co-record holder with Bette Davis for the most consecutive Best Actress Oscar nominations at 5. Could it be that all the gratitude was a big part of the reason she was so successful? It's often said that to be successful, you must surround yourself with successful people. While there is a truth to the statement, few see that there are two ways to approach this positioning. Either you can seek friendship with those who are already successful, or you can seek success for those who are already friends. Yo! Oh my god, that quote, this book, it's so good. Like, it had me worried a little bit, not gonna lie. A couple pages back, I was like, I don't know about this pacifist crap. I don't know about kissing ass and all this other crap. Like, what are you trying to make me be, a fucking bootlicker? But these quotes are hitting hard. These quotes are hitting hard. Let me reread that. When you seek friendship with those who are successful, there is no guarantee. Oh, wait. Sorry, I keep losing my place. Certain your success, others. Okay, here we go. All right. I need to I'm just gonna take screenshots from now on so I don't like waste too much of your guys' time. But like that fucking quote, we're saving that. So good. Either you can seek friendship with those who are already successful, fucking gold digger, or you can seek success from those who are already friends. Whichever you choose, one thing is certain: your success is always commensurated with the number of people who you want to see you successful. No, your success is always commensurate with the number of people who want to see you successful. But one way provides better numbers. I can imagine which way that is. When you seek friendship with those who are successful, there is no guarantee that they will want success for you too. You might have to work to overcome being perceived as a relational leech. On the other hand, when you seek success for those who are already friends, you can just about guarantee that these same people will want success for you. Surrendering the credit is a way of life you cultivate in your relationships because you are grateful for them and for what they give to you. It is nothing more than putting the success and betterment of others first, and putting your confidence in both who you are and in the rubber-like power of reciprocity. Mark Twain certainly possessed the former, and Henry Irving could not accuse him of at least trying to put confidence in the latter. There's an amusing anecdote about a conversation between the two literary contemporaries that neatly demonstrates this principle. Henry Irving was telling Mark Twain a story. "You haven't heard this, have you?" he inquired after the preamble. Twain assured him he had not. A little later, Irving again paused and asked the same, page 135, same question. Twain made the same answer. Irving then got almost to the climax of the tale before breaking off again. "Are you quite sure you haven't heard this?" The third time was too much for the listener. "I can lie twice for courtesy's sake, but I draw the line there. I can't lie a third time at any price. I not only heard the story, I invented it." This is getting juicy. Twain would have been happy to let the awkward irony pass without a word of the actual truth. Did it really matter to him that it was his story all along? No. He was happy to have the story play well for the good of the conversation. While Twain gave in at the end, and who could blame him? The funny story illustrates that it doesn't matter who gets the credit for a thing so long as that thing benefits all the parties involved. That's a write down. It doesn't. So long as the thing benefits. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. All the parties involved. Makes sense. Okay. Inherent in the principle of surrendering the credit to someone else is this word we've already used: reciprocity. Surrendering credit. Reciprocity, we don't give in order to get in a transactional sense, but we do give in order to foster relationships. And by doing so, we know there will be rewards. Reciprocity is a natural byproduct of a relationship where two people share in joys and pains. Double the joy, half the sorrow, goes the saying. In true relationships, friends look for ways to repay friends. I've never heard of that saying. Double the joy, half the sorrow. Friends share joy and pain. Double the joy, half the sorrow. That's another beautiful saying. These quotes are fucking smacking right now. We don't give in order. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Reciprocity, blah, 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 blah. Double the joy, half the sorrow. Goes the saying. In true relationships, friends look for ways to repay friends. What would happen if this spirit of relating spread throughout a company or a particular niche in the marketplace, or even across an entire value chain? Two things are certain. Everyone involved would enjoy life a lot more, and Success would be more probable as collaboration occurred naturally. We have more power to spread the spirit of relating today than ever. In the long run, no one but the originator remembers things such as whose idea it was, who spoke first, or who took the first risk. What people remember is magnanimity. Fuck. Magnanimity. 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 All right, you get the word. M-A-G. M-A-G. Magnam. N-A-M-I-M-I-T. Gonna annotate that later. It is an interesting paradox that the more you surrender the credit for something you've done, the more memorable you become, and the more you actually end up receiving credit. What? Yo. Talk about a fucking irony. President Ronald Reagan was once quoted as saying, what I would really like to do is to go down in history as the president who made Americans believe in themselves again. Gotta write that down. I want to go down in history as the man who made Americans believe in themselves again. Ronald Reagan. Don't care what you think about that as a president. It's a good quote. Nonetheless. From this quote alone, we can establish fairly accurate... Oh no. Okay. We can establish fairly accurate character analysis of the man. He was in the game so that others could win. His political goals centered on the uplifting and success of those he served in the office of president. Perhaps the best typifies Reagan. Perhaps the best typifies. That's a word I'm gonna have to annotate. T-Y. Where did it go? T-Y-P-I-F-I-E-S. Typifies. Perhaps what best typifies Reagan is the quote on the plaque that sat above his Oval Office desk. It read, "There is no limit to what man can do or where he can go. If he doesn't mind, who gets the credit?" It's just so amazing. Um, these quotes are slapping right now. Straight up slapping. There is no limit to what man can do or where he can go. If he doesn't mind, who gets the credit? Yeesh. Okay, moving on. So often, this is the case for influential people. They pursue a higher calling, something that transcends whatever political, bureaucratic, or success-oriented motivations strife others. Reagan dismissed comments about his legacy with the quip that he wouldn't be around to hear what the scholars and historians would say of him. This is what endeared him to so many as a person and leader. He lived and led with a constant surrender to the greater good of a country, and did so with starkly unconventional methods. This is the mark of a person who seeks to elevate others despite himself. It is the unconventional mind that understands success isn't about attention and accolades. It's about partnership and progress. About attention and accolades. It's about partnership and progress. Beautiful. Page 137. Engage with empathy. Let me just make sure I didn't skip too many pages. Okay, we're good. Engage with empathy. Chapter 7, I believe. We already discussed the debacle. I already know that word, but I'm just writing it down because it's a cool word. Debacle. We already discussed the debacle surrounding Armando Gallagher's almost perfect game destroyed by a gross umpire error on what should have been the final play. When you look at the replay, you see that Gallagher's face slips from elation to disbelief in seconds. The cheers of the crowd are interrupted by an eerie silence. Then loud boos and profanity ensues. Gallagher was needlessly robbed of what is considered the holy grail of pitching accomplishments. This is all the more maddening when you consider that the pitcher was not a superstar expected to reach such heights. He was an average journeyman who had accumulated an equal amount of wins and losses. This was perhaps his one shot at pitching prominence, and it had been spoiled. Who would blame him for lashing out at the umpire, crying out for justice? Even Joyce himself, Joyce, even Joyce himself, after the game, said that if he were the pitcher, he would have been fast and fierce in the umpire's face. But there's another side, a third dimension to the story, more memorable than Gallagher's tainted perfection or Jim's Joyce subsequent contrition. What type of word is that? Contrition. Contrition was the pitcher's response to the pilfering of his prize. His handling of the injustice engaged the entire world. In an ESPN interview following the game, Gallagher admitted he did not know what the call was going to be. He was just concentrating on catching the ball and getting the out. He admitted he was disappointed, but conceded that the runner might have been safe. He was both nervous and excited. The intensity of the situation meant that they had to rely on the calm judgment of the umpire. After the game, however, Gallagher viewed the replay and knew that the perfect game had just been taken from him. Yet somehow, when he spoke to the umpire, he was able to say, "I know nobody is perfect." He saw Joyce's contrition, and knew he had a choice. Beat him down further or see things from his perspective. The consideration compelled Gallagher to offer a hug to Joyce to make him feel okay. This was no camera-ready compassion. Gallagher was sincerely disappointed and sincerely empathetic. Throughout the post-game interview, he constantly responded to questions and the situation with the utmost nobility. He did not He did not attempt to paint the umpire as a villain. He displayed humility and perspective. The progenitors of empathy. Humility and perspective are the progenitors of empathy. Humility and perspective are the progenitors, progenitors of empathy. Moving on. Page 138. In an age bent on self-promotion and interpersonal leverage, we seldom take the time to consider how someone else might feel in any given situation. No one in the sports world would have faulted Gallagher for ripping the umpire on national television. Who would have whispered a word if the pitcher had used a featured interview as a platform to demolish Joyce's reputation? Yet Gallagher did nothing of the sort. His comments centered on how the umpire must have felt or what he must be feeling, and the acknowledgement that nobody is perfect. We marvel at this kind of reaction because it's so uncommon, yet an intriguing and noteworthy point. It is the young pitcher cemented a more memorable place in sports history for his response to losing the perfect game than he would have if he achieved pitching perfection. Talk about a silver lining. Those who can find a way to engage others in a manner worthy of such distinction are on the path of significant influence. When dealing with a person, always ask yourself, how would I feel? How would I react if I were in their shoes? Getting a phone call. Yo.
Yo.
What's up?
So I'm dropping them way off, and
All right, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Important as you, or no, is achieved when you show. Okay, here we go. Cooperativeness is in conversation, wrote Gerald S. Nurnberg, is achieved when you show that you consider the other person's ideas and feelings as important as your own. I have to write that down. Cooperativeness in conversation is achieved, thanks for bearing with me again, is achieved when you view / consider the other person's ideas and feelings as important as your own. We frequently hear critiques of the world's leaders. It is easy, as the saying goes, to sit in the stands and solve everyone else's problems. What we rarely witness are people who say, I can't imagine the pressure you might be under to have the weight of an entire country on your shoulders. I can't imagine how much you must lie awake at night thinking through whether you make the right decision or said the right thing on national television. Once you take the time to consider the other person's perspective, you will become sympathetic to his feelings and ideas. You will be able to authentically and honestly say, I don't blame you for feeling as you do. If I were in your position, I would feel just as you do. The phrase so rare in discourse today will stop people in their tracks, will immediately get their attention, and will make them far more amiable to your ideas. Most people are merely looking for somebody who will listen to them and be sympathetic with their plight, regardless of how large or small their woes. A lot of words I gotta write down for later. And the key quote is, I don't blame you for feeling as you do. If I was in your position, I would feel just as you do. I'm gonna write that down real quick. Thank you all again for bearing with me. I don't blame you for feeling the way you do. If I were in your position, right? If I were in your position, I would feel just as you do. If I were in your position, I would feel just as you do. Alright. If, page 139, If you can do that for another, you are giving her a gift. If you can do that for another, you are giving her a gift that will brighten her day, even her week or a month. I feel like there's something else I should have wrote down. Where he's looking, listen to them, be sympathetic. Listen. Can't imagine the pressure you must be under. Imagine. Sorry about this, guys. Pressure. You can always skip this once this video comes out. You can just skip forward. Can't imagine the pressure you must be under. Must be under. And it also said to have the weight. I can't imagine how you must lie awake at night. Looking through. Awake at night. Thinking through every decision, right or wrong. Okay. Moving the fuck on. Sorry about that, guys. If you can do that for another, you are giving them a gift that will brighten their day, even a week or a month. Once a man took a Dale Carnegie course years ago and reported how the special, genuine interest of a nurse profoundly impacted his life. Martin Ginsburg grew up poor, without a father, with a mother on welfare. One Thanksgiving day, he waited alone in the hospital for orthopedic surgery. His mother had to work and couldn't be there for him. Loneliness was crushing him. He pulled the covers and pillow over his head and wept. Just then, a young student nurse poked her head in, heard him sobbing, sat on his bed, pulled the covers and pillow off of him, and wiped away his tears. She told him how lonely she was too. She had to work all day and couldn't be with her family. Then she asked young Martin whether he would have dinner with her. He agreed. So she went to the cafeteria and returned with 2 trays of Thanksgiving dinner. They talked, and while she was supposed to get off of work at 4 p.m., she stayed until 11 p.m.? Oh, hell nah. Hell nah. You're trying to tell me I'm talking to this guy, and I'm like, oh, I'm sad that I'm not talking with my family, and it's Thanksgiving, and I'm staying till 11 p.m.? Like, 7 hours past my shift? Oh my god, that shit is nuts. Any other way, she stayed until 11 p.m. when she fell asleep. Many Thanksgivings have come and gone since then. Ginsburg writes, but not one ever passes without me remembering that particular one, and my feelings of frustration, fear, loneliness, and the warmth and tenderness of a stranger that somehow made it all bearable. Today, there's a little excuse for misunderstanding or overlooking another's perspective. Most of us are broadcasting the details of our lives, seeking significance or a sympathetic ear from anyone who will listen. By taking time to research other people's current circumstances, you will avoid making assumptions about them. If a person is important to you in some way, every second you spend trying to better understand his perspective is a second well spent. We are not empathetic creatures naturally, so we must work at it. Many elements can factor into how we respond in certain situations or upbringing. Our faith, persuasion, our economic status, or our current career status. These are more mixed with our emotions to produce a mode of personal engagement with others. Yet when we take the very things that personally move us and allow them to paint our perceptions of others, we move to a more influential place where our words can have significant impact. We would all grow in stature and confidence if we could learn how to celebrate the most common thread in everyone. Imagine the personal barriers you could bridge in your workplace, your home, or your friendships if you could always respond to mistakes and disputes in a gracious manner? What sort of treatment would you receive back? What sort of perception would others have of you? Remember, empathy is not a networking tactic to be learned and leveraged. It is a link to immediate affluence in human relations. It is Gallagher giving up his right to berate Jim Joyce and burning his name into the heart of every sports fan the world over. This is an undeniable power of gracious understanding approach. Gracious understanding approach. Wow, 60 pages left, baby. Appeal to noble motives. Page 141, chapter 8. We all crave, I think it's chapter 8, I don't know, to be honest with you guys. We all crave transcendence, to be part of something bigger than ourselves, to be meaningful to the world and the people within it, to have it said of us that we rose above, took a stand, reached beyond, and did what was right and honorable and true. Small boys long to be the strong warrior or the heroic prince in an imaginary kingdom. Small girls long to be the clever maiden or the captivating princess at the center of the grand adventure. At the foundational level, these same desires are a reason you hold this book in your hands. While relational improvement, technically is on the screen, while relational improvement and business productivity are centerpieces of our lives, their importance exists because we long to be people who make a difference. Tapping this noble motive is those you'd like to influence. Tapping this noble motive in those you'd like to influence can therefore reap great rewards, and is likely simpler than you think. When the British newspaper and publishing magnate Lord Northcliffe found a newspaper using a picture of him that he didn't want to be published, he wrote the editor a letter. He didn't say, "Please do not publish that picture of me anymore. I don't like it." He appealed to the nobler motive, the respect and love that all of us have for motherhood. He asked that the picture not be published simply because his mother did not like it. Oh my god, bro. This man. Oh. No way that worked. When John D. Rockefeller, I don't know if you know who John D. Rockefeller, I don't know if you know who John D. Rockefeller is, but I know John D. Rockefeller is. When John D. Rockefeller, he's a terrible person, by the way. When John D. Rockefeller Jr., not Rockefeller, Rockefeller Jr., wished to stop newspaper photographers from snapping pictures of his children, he too appealed to their nobler motives. He didn't say, "I don't want their pictures published." He appealed to the desire deep in all of us to retain from harming children. He said, "You know how it is, boys. You've got children yourselves, some of you, and you know it's not good for youngsters to get too much publicity." Such an approach does more than just appeal to a nobler motive in another. It assigns to the person a certain nobility. It conveys the message, you are capable of doing the right, honorable, true thing. It is a subtle compliment that essentially says, I believe in you. These are powerful words that move people to action. As Dale Carnegie training graduate named Sarah learned. Let me snip this page to a very profound page right here. Bear with me. Jumping right back into it. Here we go. Page 142. She and a friend were arguing. Sorry, dyslexic as fuck here. She and a friend were arranging a trip to Austria and Germany for a group of 10. They contacted a coach company to arrange a transfer from Austria to Europa. Europa Park in Rust, Germany. They received a quote of 965 euros for the transfer, which they agreed to and confirmed via email. 1 week before the transfer, Sarah received an email from Peter, an associate in the coach company, asking her which Rust she was planning to visit with the group. Peter told Sarah that if they were visiting the Rust in Austria, it would cost 965 euros. But if it was the Rust in Germany, it would cost 1,889 euros. Naturally, Sarah was angry about the sudden change in price. She knew there was little time to arrange for another transfer at a reasonable cost. She was faced with a dilemma. Should she begin sending an angry litany where was I? LITANY litany, a litany of emails to Peter regarding how he changed his offer, or was there another way to handle this problem? Sarah determined that berating Peter would accomplish little and would still leave her stuck with the transfer problem, so she decided on a different approach. She would appeal to Peter's noble motives and attempt to fix the problem through honest interaction. She acted calmly. She replied to his email by asking him if there was 2 different Europa parks in 2 different cities called Rust. Peter replied in the negative. Sarah replied with another email including a copy of his initial offer and explained that she had clearly specified that the transfer was for Europa Park Rust in Germany and that based on his reply there was only one. She then concluded, I kindly requested an explanation for this change of pricing, as I am sure as a respectful company, you value your initial offers and care about maintaining your credibility with your clients. Ooh, I like that. Sarah received an apology from Peter the next day, explaining that there had been some confusion on their end. He then gladly confirmed the initial offer. Okay. By appealing to Peter's and his company's nobler motive, Sarah was able to solve the problem without further financial or emotional cost. Most of us do not recognize these noble desires in ourselves while we are children. But when we grow up, we see them in our children and feel them well up inside of us. When we watch films such as The King's Speech, Gladiator, or Little Women, in some way, we all want our everydayness to include heroic elements, and that's my friend calling me. Hello, sir. Here we go. We're back. Finishing these last 2 pages, and I'm going kayaking with my friend. Here we go. All of us being idealists. Oh, wait. Where was I? Okay. What if, writes author and former marriage and family counselor John Eldridge, what if those deep desires in our hearts are telling us the truth, revealing to us the life that we were meant to live? Few would refute that there is something noble and redeemable in everyone. All of us being idealists at heart and preferring to present ourselves in the best light, like to think of motives that sound good. If we provide an opportunity for others to do the same, if we don't assume that their motives are selfish and deceitful, we allow them to increase their own self-worth and their response to us. We allow them to prove us right about them. Today's advertisers are exceptionally good at applying this principle. Consider the campaigns for environmentally friendly products. Dove's campaign for real beauty and other products that make either the buyer or the company seem nobler in motive. Non-profit organizations also employ this tactic and use social media to propagate their message in these ways. This works because most people will react favorably to the proposals if they feel that you admire them for being honest, unselfish, and fair. One morning at breakfast, University of San Francisco business professor David Bastone learned that one of his favorite restaurants in the Bay Area was using slave labor. The newspaper article that exposed the atrocity detailed how the restaurant forced employees to work under his harsh conditions by threatening to expose their status as illegal immigrants. The story caught David off guard and ignited a passion within him to start the Not for Sale campaign, an organization that seeks, among other things, to expose modern-day slave labor in communities and companies across America. To hear David speak about the campaign is to be compelled to join in. This is precisely what he wants to see happen. He knows the issue will touch everyone. The thought of slave labor in this day and age is appalling. It makes us indignant and ready to rise up to help. In 2010, David and his team rolled out the new initiative called Free to Work. The program is actually an app for your smartphone. The consumer scans a product and the app then produces a grade for the company that makes the product. If, for example, you want to buy a shirt from Patagonia, Patagonia, you can scan the item and in the Free to Work app will give Patagonia a manufacturing grade indicating how well the company performs with regard to fair trade, employment, and overseas manufacturing. The app provides a new level of accountability for manufacturing companies and a new level of responsibility for consumers. We can't claim ignorance anymore for supporting companies that employ slave labor or fail to be transparent in their international manufacturing efforts. On a deeper level, the app seeks directly to the noble motives of the companies involved. When held accountable for their business dealings and asked to meet high and humane standard, companies tend to comply. They understand that consumers increasingly care about how products are made and how their companies treat their people they employ. The Free to Work campaign targets the noble motives of consumers and manufacturing companies to incite positive and cultural change. How can you begin targeting the noble desires of your constituents and vendors in a way that will contribute to changing the ethos of a particular industry that may need new life, new standards? This is an important question to answer today. The key to successful growth and positive impact inside and outside the marketplace is a digital maven Amy Martin calls the business of humanity. Her response to the 2011 tsunami in Japan exemplifies the power of appealing to noble motives in the digital age. It also serves as a candid reminder of the consequences not embodying this principle. During a late night workout on an elliptical machine, Martin was pursuing others' Twitter updates on her iPad. The earthquake and subsequent tsunami hit in Japan, and suddenly the Twitter sphere was inundated with the news. That's a cool word too. Inundated, D-A-T-E-D. Inundated, probably. Inundated with the news. I'll annotate that later. She flipped to CNN, what the fuck? She flipped to CNN on the television and caught live footage of vehicles being washed away and people frantically trying to outrun the crushing tide coming ashore. I wasn't sure what to do, she blogged, but I felt accountable and compelled to help in some way. And we're on page 145 now. There's only 2 more pages left. Let's try and finish this up real quick. She began shifting through the most relevant tweets and links and redistributing them to her large following. She also asked her followers to send her any valuable information they had that she could broadcast to others. For 4 hours, she continued, and none of it had anything to do with marketing or promoting products. It was about people coming together through a virtual medium to help each other. She wrote it was a business of humanity. Still, during her humanitarian efforts, she witnessed an alarming contrast. Large television news outlets seemingly crippled by an ill-timed concern for ratings. While she was in the midst of a digital effort, certain prominent news channels toggled back and forth between dramatic footage and the catastrophe and the latest celebrity spectacle. I was I was aghast, she wrote. In my opinion, if these news organizations are in the least concerned about the way the public perceives their brand, they should exercise more discernment and care more about saving lives than the Hollywood beat. Sometimes you need to put Hollywood in the backseat and focus on the right thing to do. Martin clarifies something that is easy to forget amid the push to transactional effect. The many social media channels to which we are privy are first and foremost interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication tools designed for humans to connect. They weren't invented, she notes, from marketers. Many of Martin's followers echoed the sentiment in her blog post and appreciated her appeal to the noble motives, not only in the large news organizations, but also in all who had the capacity to help those suffering in the wake of the tsunami. While Martin was selling nothing that night, it is no wonder 1.3 million people follow her on Twitter, and some of the most prominent businesses, celebrities, and professional sports teams call on her for digital guidance. She is one who knows that doing business in the digital age is predicated on doing the business of humanity well. So often we are content to simply plug others into the digital world and browse them like commodities until we are ready to engage in some sort of transaction. Such sentiment removes the nobility inherent in our shared humanity. It makes our relationships merely tools of transaction rather than transcendence. To truly connect with people, you must celebrate their inherent dignity. In doing so, you celebrate yours. Appeal to noble motives, and you can move the masses and yourself along with them. That's all we have for today, guys. I'm going kayaking. We have 53 pages left, a little less than that. So one more part 6 should wrap this all up. And it's super exciting stuff. The quotes that we just read blew me the fuck away, let me tell you. The quotes were absolutely phenomenal in this part. Part 4 was a little underwhelming, not gonna lie, but part 5, oh my god. The quotes absolutely blew me away. So if you're watching on YouTube and you like this video, please drop a like. That helps my channel out a lot. Or consider subscribing if you're not already. And I much appreciate it. Much love. Stay positive. Stay happy. Stay pure. Stay whatever you want to stay, because it's your life and you can do whatever you want. Just be yourself, you know? Live your life. Don't hurt other people. You know? Simple as that. It's not much to it. No, live your life, be happy, make good choices. Take it easy, guys. I'll see you next time. I'll probably be on here later tonight playing Warframe. If any of you are here for my gaming channel, you know I will be playing video games later tonight, after my kayak, of course. And then we're going to be reading more of this tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. We're going to make it happen. We're not stopping until we do. So I'm going to sign off now. Sadly. Take it easy, guys. Peace. Boop. Boop.